To understand any conflict, the first and most basic task is to accurately identify the parties involved. When it comes to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, this is not as straightforward as it might seem. As with so much about the conflict, there is disagreement over who are the main protagonists. Is it just a conflict between Israelis and Palestinians? Or is it a broader conflict between Israel and the Arab world, or even between Jews and Muslims worldwide? How you answer this question shapes not only how you perceive the conflict, but also whom you might sympathize with. Many people tend to instinctively sympathize with the supposed underdog, just as they root for the underdog in a sports match. If Israel is perceived as a tiny state in the Middle East up against the combined might of the Arab world, consisting of 22 Arab states and over 300 million Arabs, then it appears to be the underdog in need of support. This is how most Israelis have generally viewed the conflict, along with many of their supporters around the world. Conversely, if the conflict is seen as simply pitting Israel against the Palestinians, then sympathy shifts toward the Palestinians as they are the weaker party. Most Palestinians and their supporters tend to see it this way, especially in recent decades. So who's right? Well, to some extent, they both are, because there are actually two distinct conflicts that are overlapping and interrelated. These two conflicts are often confused, or sometimes deliberately conflated. The first conflict, which is the main focus of this book, is between Israelis, primarily Israeli Jews, and Palestinians. This is the principal and most enduring conflict. It started around a century ago as an intercommunal conflict between Arabs and Zionist Jews living in the territory then known as Palestine. Fundamentally, it was a conflict between two communities whose dominant nationalist movements both claimed the right to exercise national self-determination and assume sovereignty over the same piece of land. After the Zionists succeeded in establishing their state in 1948, what was initially a conflict between two groups competing for statehood developed into a conflict between the State of Israel and Palestinians, who remained stateless. That dynamic continues to this day, as Palestinians still aspire to national self-determination, although the conflict for control over land, resources, and religious sites now largely focuses on a much smaller geographic area than pre-1948 Palestine, consisting of the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and the Gaza Strip, areas that Israel captured in the 1967 Arab-Israeli War, the Six-Day War.